Dear Mama, you have so many questions, but not enough answers. You wish you didn't have to ask, and that's why I'm writing you this letter. You're not alone, you're not crazy, and I hope this helps. I see you because I am you. Sincerely, Mama. Hey, Mama. Hey, you're tuned in to Sincerely Mama podcast, where we've created a safe space for us to share all things motherhood, not magical motherhood, but realistic motherhood. I'm your host, Jackie Bobbitt, millennial mom, entrepreneur, and purpose coach. I am so excited for today's episode. I have Miss Julia, and I am so excited for you guys to meet her. Please, Julia, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Jackie, thanks so much for having me. Jackie has been such a great support to my work, and I have loved supporting her work. She's the OG around here. I'm just so grateful for all that she's been doing. All that she's been doing for the mamas. And thanks so much for having me. Okay, so I'm a board certified art therapist and a licensed professional counselor. Certified in Texas and in Pennsylvania, and then I get to talk to people all the way in Mississippi, right? I'm like,
right.
It's been so cool to connect with moms from all over the country and actually even all over the world through this work. So that's kind of what I do. I run art therapy groups for moms here in Texas in person, but then I also hold virtual groups as well. And then I do in-person individual therapy, and then also virtual individual therapy. So yeah, art, talk, the whole thing.
So Julia, let us know, you are a mama. Let us know how many littles you have and their ages if you're comfortable with sharing.
Yes. And thank you for reminding me of my most important job of being a mom. It is the most important job, and it's the hardest one, I will add.
Thanks.
Yes. They don't care about my degrees, turns out. They do not care. No, they definitely have my heart. So I have my eldest, who's a little girl named Isabella, and she's 5. And then I have my second, whose name is Naomi, who goes strictly by Mimi these days. She's 3. And then I have our baby boy, Isaiah, and he is 15 months. So we're in the thick of it, and postpartum wasn't that far away for me. I mean, some might still consider me in it a little bit.
Right.
A postpartum elderly or something.
Right, which is why this topic is going to be so great to dive into. We are talking about postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety. And so once they've reached out, how can therapy be of help? What things would a mom start to see as things are getting better? What are some things that a mom might start to see as a result of therapy or support?
Yes. And I do want to come back to your how therapy helps question too, because I think that's so important. So when you do reach out for help, I mean, you're going to notice, if it's the right fit for therapy. And by the way, you're allowed to change therapists. You're allowed to advocate for yourself in those fields. In fact, please do, right? Like you, just like in any kind of healthcare situation, be aware of what you are taking in and if it serves you or not. They're working for you technically, right? Like you are here to receive help and you deserve help. So advocate for yourself, and everyone deserves the best healthcare. And I wish no one had to advocate for yourself, but that can tend to be the case. And it's important to just be aware of a good fit. From there, you're going to look at things like less intensity in your symptoms, a shorter duration, just recognition that you can come out of this, that there's a light at the end of this tunnel. And everyone's symptoms are, of course, different and unique, but overall, therapy has shown to be helpful. At times, medication can be helpful too. And that's not always the case. Sometimes medication doesn't need to be involved, and sometimes it does. But either way, getting support and witnessing that's safe and non-judgmental for your journey is everything. And I'm just so glad that you brought up the fact that sometimes women don't go in to receive help because they're afraid they will be judged and it won't be safe. But if you can just take that breath and know that it will be safe and non-judgmental, it is so healing to be in those kind of spaces.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you were going to share about why you think or how you think therapy works.
Yes. So, well, I think so. Of course, I'm a little privy to art therapy.
Right.
I do love it. And art therapy, just real quick, is basically using symbolic and visual language where words are difficult. And I don't know about you, but motherhood is an abstract time. You're so in love and also really want to be alone. You feel lonely sometimes, but then you also feel overwhelmed by people all the time. It's the most exhilarating, beautiful thing and can be the most heart-wrenching, frustrating experience too. So it's all of the things, sometimes in the same moment. And so art therapy just allows a mom to use that process to start to describe those feelings and know that words aren't totally going to capture it. How that can help is that it enhances things like self-esteem because you're actually doing something for yourself, even if it's as simple as taking color to a page. You're creating something to remind you of who you are and your ability to create. It's about the process. It's not about the product. So if the art piece doesn't look the way you want it, or you don't think it looks good, it's still an important act of showing that every mark you make is valuable just because it's yours, not because you're someone's mom or someone's partner or someone's employee or sister or daughter, but because you are a created, valuable human being who happens to be amazing to other people in their lives too, hopefully, but you are valued just for who you are. So making art is kind of a demonstration of that. It also, once you get into the flow of art making, even again, if it's as simple as watercolor and just simple brush strokes, it can actually really induce a mindset of mindfulness and meditation. Put on some calm music, maybe light a candle, and just do some simple marks. And it using your body to act things out can actually take your mind from up here into here and help you connect to your breath. So as a therapist, I often encourage clients that are feeling triggered or uneasy in any way, shape, or form, whether it's something like depression where you have low energy and are feeling hopeless, or it's kind of high energy and anxious and a lot of worry, to get back into your senses. Think about smell, taste, touch, hearing. You can incorporate all those things in some art therapy just on your own, and hopefully with a professional too, because then you can even go further and get that guidance. But getting back into your body is very helpful. Especially with things that are taking you out of your body or maybe involving your body, like breastfeeding or healing or whatever it is, trying to feel yourself again, whatever that means anymore, right? It's kind of reminding you of who you are. I also love the fact that in an art therapy group particularly, it helps you connect with others. Sharing your art, even again, if you don't feel like an artist, and actually most of the time my moms and my groups do not identify as artists at all. And it's fantastic because it's just about sharing and connecting. And that is really powerful to know you're not in that boat alone.
Right. And Julia will tell us more about Calm Together at the end of the session, but you mentioned doing some art therapy on your own. What are some other methods or tools that a mom that may not have the resources to attend therapy, what are some things that she can do to kind of navigate through postpartum anxiety or depression or intrusive thoughts or
Yeah.
baby blues? What are some tools that would be helpful?
Yes, great question. And I love things that are accessible. That's key, right? We don't need everyone to
Right.
have a ton of time and money because, to be honest, lots of people don't have either. And so, how can we take care of ourselves no matter the circumstances? Also, bonus points if you're thinking about it now before baby comes. But even if you're
Right.
thinking about it and your baby's, I don't know, one, like it's never too late, and it's important, I think, to consider a couple habits that can be helpful and supportive. So self-care is huge. Self-care gets thrown around a lot, and so I encourage people when they think about self-care, think about the self-care that keeps giving back. So, if self-care involves having a huge bag of chips and then the next day you just feel kind of sick, maybe it wasn't so caring for yourself. Or maybe it actually allowed you to enjoy something and to have a healthy escape for a moment. So just consider it. I don't think there's always a hard and fast answer to if something is self-care or not, but it is important to consider, is this something that will actually fill me up? Also, what is soul filling for you? What kind of community, what kind of reading, what kind of music is filling up your soul and filling your mind and your body and heart with good things? Of course, the body is important. So maybe getting some movement in. If you're not at the place where exercise is an option, that is fine. Or maybe you're not into exercise per se. Right. Just find movement that brings you joy. Maybe it's putting on some music. Maybe it's just walking around and getting some fresh air when you can. Having some good nutrition, both yummy things for pleasure, but also things for, your body to be strong, some good protein. These really do affect the psyche and behavior too, and can lessen irritability. Because I know if I haven't eaten and my kids are crying, then I want to cry too. So just try to get in front of it, right? I think that's the other thing, is getting in front of a lot of things. Like, can you start your day even with maybe 5 minutes of some quiet or with some reading that puts you in a good mindset of refocusing, maybe of movement? Getting yourself some of that time is so important. And then things like, again, meditation or quiet. And people say that a lot too, but just keep in mind that could be as simple as maybe limiting social media, or maybe muting certain channels that are not helpful to you anymore, or unfollowing. Be aware of what you are taking in and practice good social media hygiene, media hygiene. I fall prey to it. So I'm saying it because I've experienced it, because things are out there to devour our attention, and our attention is the most valuable thing, honestly, we can probably give anyone or anything. So being aware of that, because that can go hand in hand with depression and anxiety.
Right. You mentioned protein, and I was going to ask about so vitamin deficiency can have a lot to do with it as well, right? So I went to my checkup and saw that I was low in vitamin D.
Yes.
And after looking into that, vitamin D can cause depression and anxiety. Yeah. And so when you talk about self-care, that also looks like getting the proper nutrition and vitamins and actually caring for yourself. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yes.
And then to add,
field, so
look, I thought it was until it wasn't. But something to add to what you were saying, or different things that you can do, some things that I didn't think would be helpful, but that ended up being really helpful. So I did start counseling, and something that was really helpful is when she would give me homework assignments. So it almost like gave me this sense of something to look forward to that wasn't on my to-do list, something that I didn't already have planned.
Yes.
And so that was really good for me. And then starting my days earlier.
Mm,
So I was like, I'm already sleep deprived. I'm like,
yeah.
that's not going to help. But it did. Like, I see, even now when I don't do it, when my day starts with my children, it's going to be a long one. But in my,
You're like, my boss is here, like here in my room.
right. And I realized how if I start my day before them, if I have or I prioritize that quiet time, whatever that is for you, for me, that's prayer. And so when I prioritize that time before getting into the hustle and bustle of the day, it made such a difference. It made such a difference. But like you said, just looking at the whole picture. So nutrition and vitamins being a big deal, making a big difference. But
I just want to add too, even if it's 5 minutes before your kids get up. I am not a
right.
morning person, and I've actually lengthened that time to a little bit of movement. And if I put that till later in the day, it's great. But honestly, it makes such a difference when I start the day alone. Also, studies have shown that moving your body in something like exercise or even like showering or making art or something like that helps you process. It helps
Mm-hmm.
you digest what's happened in the day previous. It helps you process what will happen. So it can be very healthy in a lot of ways. But even if it's like 5 minutes, just to quietly have that cup of coffee, to read, to pray, I think that can be so beneficial. On the vitamin front, vitamin D for sure, for sure. And then, I mean, also in like sunshine, right? The OG
Right.
vitamins,
Right.
if you can. But I've also heard things about omega-3 fatty acids. And my third baby, I had my vitamin D ready. Of course, zinc and vitamin C because I have kids, so we're always
Right.
like fighting sickness. But mood wise, vitamin D and omega threes. I'd be curious if you have anything to add to that. But I heard people swear by those for mental health too.
Right. So I'm not sure. Now, one thing that she did recommend for me was, have you ever heard of St. John's Wort?
Yes.
So it's for mood as well. And at first I was just like, I don't know. But because it was a vitamin, I was like, okay, I'll try it out. But very effective, very effective. And then it took some time, of consistency with taking it. But I'm not sure about omega-3.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it is. I mean, the mind body connection is so intricate. And I think
Right.
it's also a great reminder that if you've just had a baby, focusing on how to be good to your body, focusing on things like strength and energy and health,
Mm-hmm.
I think are more important than trying to snap back or trying to
Absolutely.
get into a certain size. If you focus on health, then all those things will fall in line as they should and when
Right.
they should and how they should. So I
Right.
think just a reminder, that compassion for deep health, not just a size or a certain, yeah. So that
Right. I
was
want to emphasize that because I'm always clapping back at the snapback community
yeah, there you go.
because I feel like you need to give yourself a year at least. I
Yeah,
feel like before you can even start to feel like yourself again because it's just such a transition.
yeah,
But of course, with the body, I know after my first, that was my goal. I needed to get back to looking how I did before. But after my second, I was like, I need my mind back. And so it was just such a different perspective. And I want to plead with moms to, like you said, take care of yourself and that not being physical health, but taking care of your mental health, taking care of your body in a way that looks like, feeding your body nutritious meals. And like you said, the other stuff will come. You moving your body for health reasons, the size or whatever it is, it'll come. I'm not saying don't work towards the body that you desire. I'm
Yeah.
all for that.
Right.
But I just feel like holistic health
Yeah.
should be the goal. And if we had more moms sharing that, I think it wouldn't be such a shock when, moms are in the thick of it and that's the last thing on their mind. And they're wondering why I can't look a certain size. Well, you don't have the capacity right now,
Yeah. You're just trying to get enough sleep. You know what you're saying too reminds me of, I think, the common denominator in all of these things too, and this was hard for me, which is patience. Like,
right.
When I had each of my babies, I was like, when can I feel and look and all the things back to normal or how it was?
Right.
The reality is that there's a new normal. And honestly, I love children. I think it's a beautiful thing that we're having babies out here and we're taking care of them. So I'm saying the new normal is going to be a better normal in faith, but it's a new normal. And so, patience is everything. Like, I just wanted it tomorrow, and it will come, and like, you might experience some mental health difficulties. Your body might not feel the same. All those might be interacting, and it will happen in due time. And as someone who's at 15 months postpartum, I wish I could go back to myself 3 months postpartum and just be like, girl, look at me. Look at me. We got this. It'll come as it needs and when it needs. And also, the time is important because you're also sharing that time with caring for a baby. It can't be all about us. It has to be shared, and does have to be about taking care of ourselves, but also our baby. So the time is there for a reason. That's hard. Like, I just want to echo that patience was big for me.
Right. Patience is a huge thing. And then I want to pause to say, give yourself a break. Like, you are doing a hard thing, but the good news is you can do hard things.
Yeah.
So while this is a hard thing, you can do hard things because motherhood is difficult, and knowing that you can get through that, that's the good part. But give yourself a break. You're doing a great job. Yeah. I needed to pause to say that. But Julia, what are some ways that we can know, okay, I'm in the clear. I am no longer dealing with postpartum anxiety or depression. How do I know that I am good? I am journeying my way to this new normal without the depression or the anxiety.
Yeah. Your community might notice. If they noticed when you took a step down, they'll notice when you're taking steps up again, for whatever that means, just feeling more yourself again, but also feeling more of your new self again in this new normal, right? We don't come out of this the same. We come out of this change because we are changing, and that's a good thing. Right. But it can be a really hard thing too. So yeah, I think just noticing, increased satisfaction with things that originally brought us pleasure, or maybe new things that do, less irritability or like easier recovery time. This is silly. I feel like I keep talking about like health stuff, which is totally your area, but I think it's because it is that I'm like curious of your thoughts. I've been interviewing you. No, but correct me if I'm wrong. I know one of the signs of physical fitness can be recovery rate. Is that right? So like, yeah. So if you do like 10 jumping jacks and it takes you like a whole minute or something to get your heart rate back to baseline, then actually I don't know how long would be considered fit.
I was about to say, it sounds like you're the trainer here. Baseline, you're using all the terminology.
Well, baseline's big in mental health field too. So see, there's all this overlap. Yeah. Yeah. So all that to say, it kind of reminds me of that. Like that can be a sign of recovery, or you're going down that journey, is that your recovery rate is faster. If things are upsetting you, and they will, because life and because having kids can be hard, and raising them, but you're able to come out of it sooner, more effectively. You have a sense of a bigger picture as opposed to drowning in that moment of something that's really hard or feeling despair. You're like, this is super hard and I'm in it, but I also know I will come out of it. That can be a sign too. And notice I didn't say that everything gets better, because again, being a mom is hard and life is hard. But it's, again, that recovery rate that I think is a good sign. And then keeping an eye on it too, because I want to normalize that because motherhood is a lot, we deserve support in any season. So if it's the toddler tantrum season that's setting you off, or the teenage years that are hitting on some buttons, reach out for help then. If it's not postpartum, it's also normal to still need help later too.
Thank you so much for joining us. If you found this episode helpful, do me a favor and share it with another mama. Subscribe to this podcast and leave us a 5-star review. Also, connect with us on all social media platforms at Sincerely Mama Podcast. Remember, you're the best mama for your children. We'll see you next time. Sincerely Mama.